I keep getting emails and comments about people riding state trails that are afraid of colliding with someone while riding a trail. So is there a way to prevent collisions from getting you or your riding buddies seriously injured? Well, I want to share 5 practical steps that I've learned over the years from trail riding that can help prevent collisions with another dirt biker, ATV, side-by-side, horse, or anything that pops out on the trail. Step number 1 is avoid any ATV or 4-wheel drive trails if possible. Now I know sometimes you might have to drive on gravel roads or 4-wheeler trails to get to the single track dirt bike trails, but the more ATV trails that you drive, the more likely you are to run into someone, figuratively and literally, because for some reason the ATV crowd, it tends to bring out a more reckless crowd. Not always, but because an ATV is easier to ride and you don't have to have as much focus, people tend to be a little bit crazier and reckless on them. So when you can avoid those trails and stick to dirt bike specific trails, you're going to have less chance of a dangerous collision. Also because there's less people on the dirt bike trails. Step number 2 is ride one-way trails if possible. And if they are two-way trails, try and ride them the way that the majority of people ride them. So if you see a lot more people going in one direction and coming out the other, try and go in that same direction. Because when you have one-way trails, you're not going to have someone, or at least you shouldn't have someone, come in the opposite way. And when everyone is trying to go the same way, you can have hundreds of people on the same miles of trails and hardly see anyone. It's like a local trail ride that we have here where they only open up the trails twice out of the year, 2 weekends, and there's like 500 riders there. Even though there's only 40 miles of trails, you hardly ever see someone because most of them are one-way trails. Step number 3 is look ahead, because it's a common habit for all of us, including myself, to look down or not look ahead far enough. Because when you're looking down just like 10, 15 feet ahead of your front wheel, you're focused on what you're about to ride over because you're afraid, oh, there's some rocks or there's a tree. You're focusing on what's right ahead of you. But when you don't look far enough ahead, you can't anticipate what's coming up on the trail, or if there's another rider coming, let's say 50 feet ahead. And if you could look 50 feet ahead instead of 15, you'd be able to anticipate that extra 1 or 2 seconds, which is needed in order to slow down or get out of the way. And if you want to learn some basic techniques that can make you feel more confident and ride safer on the trails, you can grab my free basic techniques guide. It's in the description below. Step number 4 is stay on the right side of the trail and be cautious in the turns. Because if you're taking a left-hand turn and you're drifting over the left, you want to take the inside, well, that's just a recipe for disaster, because if someone is coming around that turn, they're going to be on that inside and you're not going to have enough time to get out of the way. Which also means that someone else could be doing that, which is why you need to be cautious on turns that are two-way trails. Because even if you're on the correct side, someone else coming the opposite direction might be on the wrong side, and this is usually when the most collisions happen. So whenever you're going around turns, don't be going race pace if they're two-way trails. Step number 5 to avoid collisions is have someone experienced leading the group, if at all possible. Because if you're brand new to riding, then you're going to be more focused on yourself, your riding techniques, just trying to stay on 2 wheels, where an experienced rider, they have so much skill and confidence that they can focus on what's coming up on the trail, and their ability to maneuver and stop, pull out of the way, is going to be a lot better than a new rider, so that if someone is coming the opposite way, they can stop and warn the riders behind them. And if you're a trail rider that wants to increase your speed and confidence without pushing out of your comfort zone, I got a video right here that shows you how to do that, because I want you to stay safe and have fun. I'm Kelly Fager from MX Hideout.